NATRUM group. Natrum is a Latin word for sodium. Sodium metal was isolated by Davy in year 1807 by the process of electrolysis of caustic soda. Burnet is one of his brilliant monograph took natrum salt as a test of the doctrine of drug dynamization. Thus, the salt has shown its utility at the hands of many stalwarts, hence called salt of earth or salt of life. Sodium is the main constituent of extracellular fluid of the body. It is well known to us that life originates in the ocean millions of years ago and seawater formed the body fluids. Sodium element present in the body helps to keep the fluid balance. In the other word, it is maintain homeostasis. In the human psychology, we can say that the main anxiety of sodium is the anxiety of keeping balance or harmony. In the human being, this would mean the maintenance of relationship. Sodium as an element cation, that is positive ion, is highly reactive and needs to form a compound with an anion, that is negative ion. It contains exit independently. In the sodium side, this strong desire to form and maintain a relationship, especially one-to-one level. The sodium person does not want too much but just the one and is very much independent only on one relationship, without which they feel very isolated and therefore very insecure. Sodium person develops a fear of person and therefore tries to avoid contact. Sodium person are definitely much more reactive than other elements like calcarea or magnesium people. They respond with great sensibility, especially at the feeling of others and also what others say and think about them. They feel there is really no one for them. This is somewhat similar to represent or the repressed feeling of magnesium. Yet unlike magnesium, sodium people are aware of their emotions. Now, what are source of sodium? They are beet, salt, bread, cereals, vegetable, milk, fruit, spinach, and cheese. Sodium imbalance. Sodium is the main cation in the extracellular fluid. Sodium ion are especially important in regulating the voltage of action potentials. Sodium is necessary for transmission of impulse in the nerves and the muscles fiber, and it plays major role in controlling the size of the cells. The level of sodium in the body controlled by the adrenal glands, the pituitary gland, the skin, the gastrointestinal tract, arterial pressure, and compositional changes in the extracellular fluid. The kidney are influenced to reabsorb more or less sodium from the blood and to excrete in the urine. For example, if the level of the sodium in the body goes down, the kidney will excrete urine that is particularly free from sodium. Active resorption of sodium by the kidneys takes place in the tubules. Normally, almost all the sodium is resorbed and none of it is excreted. However, if the level of sodium is high, large portions of the sodium can be excreted in the urine. Resorbed sodium is usually in the form of sodium chloride. The regulation of sodium in the body is very closely related with the regulation of the fluid volume, since the fluid volume can be adjusted by regulating the level of sodium in the blood. Hyponatremia. Deficiency of the sodium. Hyponatremia is defined as the serum sodium level less than 135 milliequivalent per liter. Hyponatremia is a condition in which sodium deficiency is the problem. And here, this sodium can selectively regulate the level of sodium in the body, reduce the blood volume, decrease cardiac output, low extracellular sodium, high extracellular potassium, and physical stress stimulate the secretion of aldosterone. And what happens in this condition? So the sign and symptoms are sudden loss of sodium may produce shock, fatigue, loss of energy and fainting, pleural effusion, hydrocephalus, tachycardia and hypotension. The hematocrit will be above normal and the serum sodium will be low. Causes for hyponatremia are GIT, deficient salt intake, diarrhea, gastrointestinal suction, fistula, pleural effusion, excessive sweating, burns, salivation, lacrimation, extrarenal loss like diuretics, osmotic diuretics, diabetes insipidus. Next is hypernatremia, that is excess of sodium, that when the sodium exceeds for 145 milliequivalent per liter. The condition in which sodium excess, it is hypernatremia, may be problem includes renal failure with salt retention, congestive heart failure, inadequate blood flow in the kidney, overproduction of aldosterone by the adrenal gland, large doses of adrenal corticals or for treatment, cirrhosis of the liver, etc. Causes extrarenal water loss, skin burn and sweat, lungs insensible, renal water loss, diabetes insipidus, osmotic diuretics, primary excess of natrum, excess salt administration, adrenal hyperfunction, Cushing syndrome, primary hyperaldosteronism. Sign and symptoms: confusion, neuromuscular irritability, venous sinus thrombosis, and hemorrhage from vessels. Renal failure with salt retention, congestive heart failure, inadequate blood flow of the kidney, overproduction of aldosterone by the adrenal gland, Cushing syndrome, cirrhosis of the liver, and etc. Important remedies for in NATRUM group are borax, natrum ars, natrum carb, natrum cholinicum, natrum hyposulfuricum, natrum iodum, natrum lactinum, natrum muriaticum, natrum nitricum, natrum nitrosum, natrum phosphoricum, natrum salicicum, natrum selenicum, natrum silicum, natrum succinate, natrum sulfocarbolicum, natrum sulfuricum, natrum telluricum. And now, the sphere of actions are GIT, CVS, skin, lymphatic system, nutrition and bones, CNS, kidney, mucous membrane, connective tissue. Characteristic mental symptoms of NATRUM group are melancholy, anxiety, weeping, sadness, grief, gloomy, reserved, pessimistic, oversensitivity, hypochondriacs, reserved, introvert, emotional. Character physical symptoms are anemia, periodicity is maintained, emaciation, great debility, thirst, tongue. Tongue is abnormal sensation of hair on the tongue. Anemia, craving for salt fish and farinaceous food, aversion for bread and milk. General modality: there is aggravation in sun, heat, music, seaside, milk, lying, left side, mental exertion, damp weather, and 10 a.m. Emulsion by change of position, rubbing, sweat, eating after and at night.